Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about the company behind one of the most powerful and honestly, one of the most misunderstood apps on the entire planet. And no, this isn't just about TikTok. It's about the wild AI engine that really, truly changed the internet. So, let's get into it.
All right, first things first, we have to talk about the image problem. Because to really get ByteDance, you gotta look way past all the viral trends.
When somebody says TikTok, this is probably the first thing that pops into your head, right? A fun, maybe kind of silly app for dance challenges. You know, a fad. But that picture, it hides a way, way bigger story.
See, while the rest of the world was watching the dances, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, was in the background building an absolute monster of an advertising empire. In 2019 alone, it was pulling in over 120 billion yuan. That's almost 19 billion US dollars in ad revenue. I mean, it just blew past the old tech giants.
You want to know how dominant they are? Think about this. In China, ByteDance's apps, and yeah, it's more than just TikTok, they take up a whopping 12.5% of all the time people spend on the internet. 1 out of every 8 minutes you're online? Yep, that's them.
So this is the big question, isn't it? How in the world did a company known for, 15-second videos turn into this advertising juggernaut that could challenge the biggest names in the game? Well, the answer is in a huge shift in how we get our information.
All right, to really get why ByteDance is such a big deal, we got to take a quick step back and look at the world that it completely turned upside down.
For decades, the way we get stuff on the internet has changed a lot. First, you had these hand-picked lists like Yahoo. Then, boom, Google search changed everything. And for the last decade or so, it's all been about the social graph. What you see is all about who you follow on places like Facebook and Twitter.
But here's the thing. For advertisers, and let's be honest, for us as users too, the social graph had a massive problem. It was super inefficient, just messy. It sounded great, a network of all your friends and interests, but what you actually got was just a wall of noise.
I mean, just look at your own feed, right? You've got your best friend, but you also follow some random celebrity, your boss, maybe that one cousin who only posts about stuff you couldn't care less about. It creates this tangled web that makes it almost impossible for an advertiser to show you something you actually want to see. Most of it is just wasted space, what the pros call ad pollution.
And this is the exact problem ByteDance set out to fix. And their solution? It had zero to do with who you know. It was all about a ridiculously powerful AI.
They built something called a recommendation engine. And the main idea here is it's a total game changer. The engine doesn't care if it's looking at your friend's cat video or a multi-million-dollar Nike ad. To the AI, there's no difference. It's all just content. And its one and only job is to find the perfect person to show it to.
So how does it work? Okay, so here's the breakdown. A new video gets shown to a tiny group of people. The AI is watching everything. Did you watch the whole thing? Did you like it? Did you share it? Using that data, it builds a perfect profile of who loves this video. And then it instantly goes out and finds millions of other people who are just like them. It's basically building a brand new social network from scratch, just for that one video.
This is a completely different way of doing things. Suddenly, your feed isn't this random jumble of posts from your friends anymore. It's this perfectly designed stream of content based on one thing and one thing only. What the AI has learned that you simply cannot look away from.
Okay, so that's the theory. Let's talk about what happens when this thing gets unleashed in the real world. Because the results are pretty mind-blowing, and they've left some of the biggest companies on Earth totally scrambling.
Okay, check out this amazing story. There's a woman who got the nickname Chengdu Xiaotian. A local news crew is on the street asking women what they look for in a guy, and her answer was just simple, charming, totally off the cuff.
Now, she wasn't a celebrity, she didn't have any followers, but the algorithm knew. It knew that this little 15-second clip was absolute gold. It just exploded overnight, 5 million views in a day. And almost instantly, the phone company Xiaomi hired her for a huge ad campaign. And that's the magic of the system, right? It doesn't matter who you know. If your content is good, you can become a star.
And this star-making machine is also insanely good at making money. So just look at this chart. It breaks down how much money these apps make for every single minute you're on there. TikTok is more than 3 times as efficient as Weibo, and an insane 9.5 times more efficient than Bilibili. Every single second you're scrolling, they are just masters at making money from it. And this new world has totally blindsided some of the biggest players out there. So back in 2018, you had Apple, right? They put out this gorgeous 7-minute-long film for Chinese New Year. It was beautiful, cinematic, but 7 minutes? On TikTok, that's forever. At the same time, their competitors, Oppo and Vivo, they were playing a different game. They were just pumping out tons of short, snappy videos made perfectly for the algorithm.
And this table tells the whole story. The old school media, they wrote more than 2,000 articles about Apple's big film. But on ByteDance's own news app? Crickets. Nobody was reading them. Meanwhile, Oppo and Vivo got like a tenth of the press, but their actual readership, the engagement from real people, was huge. They got it. They knew the new game wasn't about getting a good review in the paper, it was about feeding that algorithm.
So, what's the big takeaway here? This isn't just about a new way to sell ads. This is really a peek into where the whole internet is heading.
I mean, think about what they pulled off. They solved that whole ad pollution problem by just making the ads good. They proved, without a doubt, that an AI that knows what you like can crush a social network that's just based on who you know. And in the process, they basically rewrote the entire rulebook for marketing.
So at the end of the day, the real genius of ByteDance wasn't just building a cooler app. It was about creating a whole new playbook for how the internet works. One where the people you're connected to are maybe less important than this perfectly curated, never-ending stream of content that's made just for you.
And that kind of leaves us with this one big lingering thought. They've built this machine that is just stunningly good at grabbing and holding onto our attention. And as that machine gets smarter and better, you just have to ask yourself, what does that mean for us?